Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Lou. I'm a Manchester United fan. And today I want to talk about sacking managers. As a Manchester United fan, and actually as a former HR manager, I do feel qualified to talk about this topic. And it seems to be a growing trend in football. I've already spoken in previous videos about society, about the world we live in, about how everything's immediate, one click away, next day delivery, everything is fast. And we're obviously starting to feel the same way about our football team and our football results. Because when they don't come fast, what we have as fan bases, or parts of fan bases, get rid of the manager. It's been 3 games, it's been 5 games, it's been 9 games. Get him out. It's obviously not working. I'm not seeing the results. I'm not seeing the standards that I'm used to from my football club. He's not the guy. Get rid of him. Now, we've seen this, as I said, at United for quite some time. We have worked through so many managers since Sir Alex Ferguson, and just recently, before Amrin won 3 games in a row, people were already calling for his head. But this is not unique to Manchester United, which I am finding very interesting, because I thought it was just another symptom of how broken my club was, that when the staff, i.e. the players, are underperforming, our solution is to get rid of the boss, who's the manager. Now, I am sure you have all worked in some places where that is the correct solution. It's not the correct solution 5, 6, 7 times in a row. So it was certainly something that we were seeing at Manchester United, and that was becoming a bit of a thing. We had the whole player power, manager power. We got to the point where Eric Ten Hag had a veto when signing players. There was a whole thing about that. So now what we have is other clubs starting to do this, and maybe it's just me, maybe this has been happening the whole time, but certainly since I've spent some time on the football terrace, listening to the other panelists, listening to the chat, hearing people speak about their clubs, I have become aware that this issue is not just a Manchester United issue, and I'm not sure if that's a relief or if that's a bigger problem, because now we're seeing it everywhere. There's obviously big talk recently about Arne Slot. Is he the guy? Has he just actually won the Premier League by using Jurgen Klopp's team, by taking the momentum they already had, by using the senior players? He actually won. Anybody could have won that title, because if anybody took over from Jurgen Klopp in that situation with the players the way they were and just managed the ship, steered the ship, they could have won that league. It was actually nothing to do with Slot. This season we're seeing Slot's true colours. He's actually a terrible manager. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He's not good enough for Liverpool. Get rid. Those are some of the things I've seen and heard people saying over the past few weeks. And some people are still saying that, because I'm sorry, I don't think one win against Aston Villa is going to keep the Wolves away from the door. I've seen it happen too many times at my own club. Obviously, we're now seeing Thomas Frank, 2 of his players, including his captain, walking off the pitch, completely ignoring him. He has since come out in a press conference and said, look, they came to me, they knocked my door, they said I'm really sorry, blah, 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 blah. But we're already seeing people in the media, in the YouTube space, on socials, saying Thomas Frank is not the guy, he has got to go, he's not good enough, he's not what we're looking for, he's not the right manager, captain, head coach to lead the way. Let's get rid and replace him. It just seems to be the default. Pep Guardiola last season not only struggled on the pitch, but he had a horrific season off the pitch. And I've seen very few people talk about that. This man separated from his wife, or his partner, I believe she's his wife. His personal life was an absolute turmoil. His star player, and I know you might say star player Haaland, but no. The guy that was the engine, the guy that ran his team, the guy that was Pep on the pitch, and we talk about this so often in years gone by. Roy Keane was Sir Alex on the pitch, he was the manager on the pitch. So Pep Guardiola lost his manager on the pitch. His wife is leaving him. His whole life is in turmoil. But the amount of credit that he had in the bank should have been enough to see him through that season. And it was with the board. It wasn't with some fans though. we did start to see it. How long do you keep him before his credit runs out? How much credit does he have in the bank? What rate is it being used up at? Is Pep done? Is Pep washed? Does he just need to step away? Leave while you're out on a high. Don't live long enough to become the villain. Like, even with someone like Pep, who has won and won and won and won, who is consistently in the conversations for one of the best managers of all time. And people were talking about how quickly does his credit run out? Who would you replace him with? And I'm just wondering, what is that about? Because yes, if a manager is consistently bad, it's the manager's job to get the players firing, to get the tactics in place, to get the team winning. That's his job. And to be fair, I keep saying manager, but they're not really managers anymore. They're head coaches now. They're not managers in the sense of what we know from the 90s and early noughties. They're now head coaches. So if I say manager, I mean head coach. It's an old habit. But, yes, it's their job. It's their overall job to get the team going, to get the right tactics in place, and to get the points on the board. So I understand if there is a manager over a long period consistently not doing that, and you can very much see it's absolutely not working, like potentially the Wolves situation where you have 2 points out of 10 games, that's a legitimate reason to sack someone. That is appropriate. They are underperforming in their role. But when you have people that we know are performing, head coaches that we know are good enough, head coaches that we know have won before and are capable of winning again, head coaches that have a blip of a few games, or maybe like that in Pep's case, a blip of a season, but he's had so many good seasons, that one season is a small amount of time. The likes of Jurgen Klopp or Arne Slot, who has won a Premier League, and it doesn't matter how he got it, he won it, because he could have lost it. Even for the people who are saying he won it with Jurgen Klopp's team, okay, but he could have messed it up and he didn't. So he's somewhat capable. And he had a blip of a few games. It wasn't like, he's been brutal for ages. He had a few games because at the start of the season, while they weren't playing well, they were still getting points on the board. So it was only a case of 3 or 4 games where they really were doing badly. And people were out for his head. At what point do we say, okay, no, this is the players. The players need to do better. The players need some professional pride. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. If he's given them all the right tactics, all the right things to do, everything is in place that's supposed to be in place, and the horse doesn't drink the water, the footballers don't put the ball in the net, there's only so much people can do. There's only so much head coaches can do. They cannot get on the pitch and score the goal for them. I am sure there are coaches that have wanted to do that. For example, at United, I am sure when Solskjaer was our manager, he would have loved to lace up his boots and get on the pitch and score a few goals. It might have saved him his job. So while I think, yes, there has to be accountability with the managers, the head coaches, the guy that's in charge, we also maybe have to not lose the plot immediately. We'll have to be like, okay, how much of it is the coach? How much of it is the staff, i.e. the players? What is a reasonable time? And each situation will differ because it depends on the manager, their situation, their length of time with the club, their credit in the bank, etc., etc. But what is a reasonable time where you start to question, okay, is this a bad fit? Yeah, it seems to be very much like sack the manager, sack the manager, sack the manager, sack the manager. And I know from my club that doesn't work, that revolving door doesn't work, that conveyor belt of managers doesn't work. I know from my previous job as HR manager, that's not how you fix things. If the inmates are running the asylum and you keep replacing the person who's supposed to be running the asylum, but you don't get the inmates back in order, it's never going to work. If the inmates have escaped, it doesn't matter who you put in the head office chair, it's not going to get better. You have to put the inmates back into their rooms. So I just feel like there has to be accountability on both sides. And maybe we're a little bit quick these days to just go, get him out, sack him, he's not good enough. We need to just breathe a little bit. drink some chamomile tea, put some lavender on your pillow. What do you think? Has your club been affected by this pandemic of sack the manager? Do you feel that you should sack your manager? Do you think I'm talking absolute nonsense and being too soft? And no, we should be sacking them. It's not like a regular job, therefore they shouldn't be treated like regular managers. Please, please, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed before. If you're new here, I hope you've enjoyed it, and please get your thoughts in the comments down below.